Hello, welcome back to Fire Essence Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Suzerain. The last time we left off, we met with the Business Council, we submitted our plans for the Constitution reforms, as well as set our government budget. So, let's just pick up where we left off here. So, looks like we've got one report and one newspaper before we complete the churn. So let's go ahead and start with the report from Holsword here. Let's see, Reform Committee Status Report. Lucian Glad reported that so far they've been able to get, in total, 87 signatures behind the proposal. Efforts are underway to increase the support and to reach out to necessary members. Cool, because I think we need 150 signatures, 150, something like that, in order to even submit it to the National Assembly. So we're going to have to do some work to get that up. That should be easy enough. Alright, from the news, we got one from the Holsword Post in here somewhere. There we go. 1954 Swordish Government Budget. After a marathon 18 hours of negotiations, the Swordish governmental budget for the current term has been finalized. The government envisages spending around 40 billion ren next year, almost 29 billion more than this year. The 1954 budget sees the first measures for more internal security being introduced. While the details of the allocation of the increased security funding is not yet clear, it is expected that the Ministry of the Interior and the Ministry of Justice will both benefit from the increase. The Minister of the Interior, Mrs. Groff, has expressed her gratitude for the increase in the law enforcement budget, saying this increase will help us bring and maintain the peace we've all been waiting for. Additionally, the Ministry of Health, one of the smaller ministries in Swordsland, will also see its budget grow. Minister of Health, Mr. Bennywell, has expressed his gratitude for the increase in the healthcare budget, saying that this increase will benefit everyone in Swordsland. The Ministry of Defense, by far the largest ministry in Swordsland, will also benefit from increased funding, which will likely benefit the quality of the military equipment or allow for further expansion of the Swordish armed forces. Nice, okay. Let's go to the next churn here then. Oh, nice, on to Chapter 2, A New Swordsland. Awesome, alright. Looks like we've got a whole bunch of reports here, as well as a couple of newspaper articles. Let's go and start the news, why not? Alright, from the Lockhaven Times, Lockhaven League of Women March. Hundreds of women organized by the Swordish League of Women marched and called for gender equality in the country. The group held signs highlighting the issues of domestic violence, the wage gap, maternity leave, and the sexist attitudes in the education system. Police forces quickly created a security cordon to protect the march after a large group of religious counter-protesters arrived. Calls for equality were drowned by the loud group of conservatives. The protests were a clear reflection of the division that surrounds the country. It also raises questions if the First Lady, Monica Rain's agenda to raise awareness and trigger change on the issue will bear fruit. And we got two from Geopolitico. Let's see. So, Vogslandian Navy forces Agnolian drill ship to retreat from Helluland. Helm, Vogsland. Navy Chief Admiral Kurt Hexter on Tuesday said an Agnolian drilling ship was driven away from Vogsland's exclusive economic zone in the Nermanlander Sea recently, asserting that such activities will be dealt with swiftly and sternly. The ship entered the area without Vogslandian Navy's prior permission, they said. The illegal occupation of Helluland does not give Agnolia the right to claim the seas. Our stance has been that if you do anything in our region, you have to notify us or take our permission, the Navy Chief said at a press conference, without elaborating further on the incident. Since 1950, there has been a permanent presence of the Vogslandian Navy in the Markan Sea region, mostly in the form of an anti-piracy force. Experts are concerned about Agnolia's increasing forays around Helluland, which they believe may trigger a heavy response in Vogsland. And Arcasia fires the M4 ICBM. Dwight Walker has announced the first successful Arcasia intercontinental ballistic missile test, which was conducted at a military site in the Nuam Atoll in the middle of the Oceania. The fired missile, codenamed Missile 4, flew several thousands of kilometers towards the direction of United Contana before crashing down at sea, close to the abandoned radioactive Rostov Island. The missile test indicates that Arcasia wants to send a message to United Contana about island bases in the middle of Oceania, while displaying the Arcasian military technology as advanced. Will Arcasia be able to catch up to United Contana and face a growing contentious situation between the superpowers? Interesting. Alright, so let's go up to Agnolia here. Agnolia offshore drilling near Heli Island increased tensions. Agnolia started a new oil drilling operation very close to the disputed territory of Heli Island. The tensions increased when the situation turned into standoff between the Vogslandian and Agnolian warships. It took several hours for the gridlock to be resolved, and the situation was de-escalated for now. Brilliant. Alright. Let's see. Report from Laren. Military equipment outdated. The General Staff is performing an analysis on our borders to assess our military defense capabilities against a potential Rumberg attack. Results show that our military equipment is outdated and needs replacement as soon as possible. The continuation of the worrying report shows that in the event of an attack, our border will be broken through easily, leaving the primary regions of Sordland exposed. Well, we'll have to do something about that, won't we? Alright, from Narbel, education in rural regions require improvements. Sierra Walder reports that the current education institutions in rural regions of Sordland have been largely neglected. As part of her analysis, the literacy rate in Sordland currently stands 80%, while rural regions like Narbel has a literacy rate of only 64%. Lack of schools per capita also reflects these results. Nice, that's fine. For being a dictator, we need to keep the people poor and stupid, not educated. Alright, from Urzarin, massive network of BFF priests discovered. The Vice Minister of the Interior has reported the discovery of a large-scale underground network of the BFF that encompasses all cities of Bergia. Under the guise of state-sanctioned priesthood, the BFF has recruited hundreds, possibly thousands of nerdy worshippers, including non-Bludish citizens, to support their cause for independence. A dozen arrests were made, but since most police officers don't speak Bludish, it will be difficult to find the actual ringleader priests of the network. A request was made to ban Bludish as a language from sanctuaries. Alright, from Lockhaven, Central Bank released a strong budget deficit warning. Central Bank of Sordland issued a damning warning regarding the extensive government budget deficit that has occurred in the first year of the administration. The potential consequences of irresponsible economic management were highlighted. Edith Agnock relayed that a large deficit could have direct consequences on the strength of the currency and could hamper the potential of the still-to-recover economy. We'll be fine. Alright, looks like the last report is over here in Benfey. Benfey Regional Airport overcrowded. We've been receiving reports about the capacity of Benfey Regional Airport. The mayor of Benfey is preparing to put a request forward for an investment to build an international airport in the city. For a touristic region like Benfey, he claims it would increase the overall prosperity of Sordland. Well, that sounds like something a regional government should be dealing with, not the federal government. But, whatever. Alright. Head to Sordland for the Workers' Rights Act. Let's see. Section 1 establishes a minimum wage of 2.5 Ren per hour. Section 2 sets a weekly maximum of 60 hours of labor. Section 3 establishes a double overtime pay per hour after 40 a week. Section 4 determines that workers are to be protected against occupational hazards, be provided humane work conditions. Section 5 establishes that migrant and undocumented workers have the same workers' rights as citizens. Any employer shall not abide by these rules. They will be heavily fined by the government, and if not corrected, will face legal action. Alright, I'm not sure what I need to do with this one. Whoops. I think we want to veto it. But let's take a look at the guide here and see. Yeah, it says veto, just what I thought. So we're gonna veto it. Sweet. Alright, so that just gives us 2 newspapers now. Alright, Lockhaven Times. Rain vetoes workers' rights bill. Despite the very recent Morbel mine disaster which claimed 112 lives, President Rain has decided to veto the workers' rights bill that included safeguards for workers regarding work security. The veto has caused public outcry in Morbel and the labor union of Sordland. Protesters gathering near the site of the disaster called for the resignation of President Rain. One of the spokespersons for the Netta mining group said that he publicly applauds President Rain for vetoing the unnecessary and absurd bill. The spokesperson was also seen at the disaster site for inspections, praying for the families of the deceased workers. And from the Radical, no empathy for the working class. The Assembly, which has so many differing opinions, came together to present a bill in hopes of improving the labor rights in Sordland. But President Rain has shown no empathy for the struggles of the workers. The veto is a sign that the administration doesn't care as much for the average citizen of the country as I had hoped. The mine disaster is a tragic but good example why improved and safer working conditions must be upheld. These subjects are about human lives and their happiness. The priority must stay with the people. The very fact that they'll re-elect or choose someone else come 1957. Well, no one cares what the communists think, because we're going to be pushing them out of power anyway. Or not out of power, just out. Ooh, wow, a whole bunch of things going here. Okay. Well, let's start with this regional investment decision. Let's see, Gus Monge and Simon Hole have prepared an extensive regional investment package to revitalize one of the 3 top economically fragile regions by boosting the municipality budgets, providing large sums of business grants, and giving cheap loans to companies with liquidity problems. The proposal could be implemented in one of the following regions: Bergia, Lauren, and Einland. Okay, well, the guide says to go ahead and improve Berja, so we'll do that. It takes us to -4 budget, though, which is a bit of a problem, but that's okay. We should be able to fix that eventually. Alright, newspaper. From the Whole Sword Post, government investment in Berja. The Swordfish government has injected billions of ren into the development of the region of Berja. The Berja region was identified as one of the government's priority areas for luring energy investments. The city of Dyer, Urzarin, and Sarna will likely benefit the most from the investments due to their proximity to natural resources, existing transmission links, and population centers. Planned projects in central and southern Berja are expected to bring thousands of jobs to the region. The government program is designed to attract investors and expand the energy network, as well as regional infrastructure, government officials said. A portion of the funding will also be used as agricultural subsidies. Nice. Alright. Now, budget allocation of law enforcement. Scroll back up to that part of the guide here. There we go. Alright. I was in my office reading reports from the ministries about the current situation of the protests. My next scheduled meeting was about the law enforcement budget with Nia and Lilius. I heard some knocks on the door. Nia entered and took a seat in front of my desk. Lilius was absent. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Lilius will be late. Apparently there's urgent matter at the Ministry of Interior that she had to attend to. Shouldn't take long. Well, what urgent matter? She said something about supply distribution for the police forces. Nothing major. I returned my reports and Nia smoothed back an errant strand of her hair. There was an awkward silence. While we wait, why don't we have a little chat? Chat about the so-called reform package. Well, what of it? Nothing, apart from the fact we're repeating Sol's mistakes again, or the fact this is not what we were elected for, or the fact that you get my point. Your point is, you suck. You don't agree with my decision. Was that not clear enough? She sighed. I keep thinking about it. I come to the same conclusion every time. There's no way I can get behind this. Don't forget that I have a vote in the court. Trust me, I'm doing this for the benefit of all Swordland. She opened her mouth to answer, but there was a knock at the door. Lilius Groff entered the room. Mr. President, Nia, I hope I'm not interrupting our conversation. No, not at all. We're just discussing a few things. Nia smiled at Lilius. I'm sorry for being late. There was an important matter at the ministry. Just a small dispute over who should get the supplies. Nothing major. Lilius took the seat next to Nia. She continued talking. Well then, let's go straight in. We'll provide a brief update on the situation of law enforcement. I nodded. Nia? The Ministry of Justice and Supreme Court is working in close collaboration with the Ministry of Interior to address the protests in the country. Must add that thanks to the hard work of our judiciary, the law enforcement forces assigned to my minister are doing the jobs efficiently. I would call it the success of our forces on the ground, not due to the judicial branch of our government. Lilius shot Nia a brief, withering glance. As expected, the budget increase has boosted the morale of the employees in law enforcement agencies. In these dire times, my people in Nia's are especially delighted. I think you'll be glad to hear the support for you among the forces is at an all-time high, Mr. President. For that, all I'll say is bravo. This was an excellent decision. Agreed. The Ministry of Justice, we're very happy with the decision as well. The backlog of the court cases is dwindling, and we have started to fulfill the needs of the current situation. Certainly a step in the right direction. Of course it was the right decision. I made it, after all. That's a good dick answer. I love it. Nia cast a sidelong look at Lilius. Of course. Well then, let's move on to what we're actually here for. Due to the budget increase, we can start doing much more as main branches of security and Solna. However, a decision has to be made about the budget balance between the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Justice. Exactly. When deciding, you must look at the bigger picture. I believe you will make the right choice and pick the Ministry of Interior. Alright, well, why should I pick the Ministry of Interior? The Ministry of Interior is a much more significant and important government agency that is in need of the funds, especially during these times where there are many protests in the country. Good luck prosecuting criminals going through local government laws without enough judges, Lilius. Alright, well, why should I pick the Ministry of Justice? Each day, the stacks of legal cases are piling up for judges. Cases for corruption and criminals are delayed due to lack of funds. It seems to me that it is an organizational issue, but not a funding one. The Interior needs the money more from police and local governments. Alright, screw it. I'm ready to make a decision. What will it be? Lilius and Nia lean forward. Let's see. Yeah, we're definitely funding the Ministry of Interior. So, the funds will go to the Ministry of Interior to be used to improve the police and local governments. A wise choice. I was expecting you to be different, Mr. President. A brief moment of deliberation passed. Nia got up from her seat. I must return to the Ministry to implement necessary changes. Very well, see you soon, Nia. I need a few words with Mr. President. Nia smiled and left the room. Lilius turned to me. I have a proposal. We've been battling with terror for a long time now. I want to put an end to it. That's why I'm proposing the formation of a secret state police. This would be a new force that would be in charge of handling internal security and intelligence matters. The primary aim of this program is to detect and prevent subversive elements before they take any harmful action against the state. If you accept, this will give our administration power to handle threats more discreetly as well. I like it. She's a total fascist. Very well. Form the secret state police. Excellent. I'll start the prep work. You're making good decision after good decision today, Mr. President. I'll be in touch. Lilius got up and left the room. Nice. Alright, we are well on our way to becoming a proper dictator now. Alright, let's check out the news. Alright, from the Whole Sword Post. Protesters target sacred symbols. Sacred figures and symbols of Destrunity, including St. Dast himself, have become the targets of vandalism as protests continue across Swordland. What initially began as a protest against the murder of Bernard Circus in January has turned into rioters forcibly tearing down monuments of former Swordfish politicians, saints, and other figures. Even if rioters are successful in removing the images of St. Dask or Tarkine Soul from parts of society, this will only serve to strengthen our faith and our political wills. Curtin Lest, mayor of one of the worst hit cities, Anarka. Alright, Lockhaven Times. Keebner calls president to action. The head of Swordland's second opposition party, National Front Party, Casaro Keebner, said President Rain needs to address issues like racial tensions, foreign influence, and internal security. Swordland's democracy, freedoms, and economy were to be developed. Keebner also talked about the need for military reforms and expressed his support for Minister of Defense Joseph Valencia. Well, that's what we're working on. Alright, last but not least, from the economists, economy slowly recovering. Recession slowed down last month, showing signs of recovery, but make no mistake, Swordland is still in a danger zone. The past several weeks have brought lots of mixed news in Swordland, but good news came particularly from several regions hitting pre-recession output numbers, thousands of people returning to work, Sword citizens getting out and spending more. Manufacturers cranked up the assembly lines again, and many businesses welcomed back customers. Nice. Alright, so before we jump into the next part, let's take a look over here. In the economy, we've got the investment in Berja. Looks like the only new thing there. And wow, a whole bunch of new stuff in order. So we got the Secret State Police. Increased interior funding. So organized crime contained is an orange thing for some reason. You think that'd be green, but okay. Let's see, happy police and subversives arrested. Okay, interesting. Journal is just saying that we invested in Berja, beat up the Workers Act, Secret Police, and allocated increased money for the Ministry of Interior. Ooh, yeah, alright. So, let's head back to Whole Sword for an evening walk with Monica. It was early evening, still light out with just a faint nip in the air. Franck was at a friend's, and Diana was at an art class. Monica and I decided to go out for a walk before dinner. Our favorite place for a stroll was the nearby Capitol Park, the largest green space in all of Swordland. Before the children were born, we'd spent many an evening engaged in deep conversation along the riverside promenade. Another favorite path wound through the woods behind the presidential housing complex, to a private pond where children could swim in the summer. I was told that Sol himself had it built, benefits of being president. Monica met me by the door. We put on our coats and hats. I was going to suggest we walk towards Sol Square, but the guards have been closed for yet another protest. I wonder who they're protesting this time. Common thugs. Make sure they're punished. You were one of those thugs yourself once upon a time. I was young and stupid. I didn't know any better. In any case, where should we go? I'm not sure Capitol Park's a wise idea in this climate either. You're right. It's not worth security risk. Let's stay inside the gates. I agree. Let's go then before the children get home. I informed the guards about our route and we left the house. The guards followed at a discreet distance as we headed towards the walking trail. As we entered the woods, Monica broke the silence. So, how was your day? Paperwork, endless meetings, the usual nightmare. I don't know. I imagine some might find that stimulating. I hope yours was better. Well, it was fine. I caught up with some reading with children at school. Just outside the gate, I glimpsed Jonas Corona, the former Minister of Justice, walking towards Capitol Park. I remember that Nia Morgana used to be his vice minister. He didn't seem to notice as he walked by. Jonas had once fought hard and strong in Seoul's judiciary reforms, but after years of the government blocking his every move, he gave up on his ideals and became a part of the administration. What did our ideals really mean if they could be changed so easily? What about the people he idolized? Evelyn also came down for tea. She says hi. He was feeling rather low, though. Apparently she and Peter had a bit of a disagreement. Peter's in the doghouse again? That didn't happen. Apparently Peter had too much whiskey, as usual, and didn't behave when Evelyn's father was over for dinner yesterday. You know, Peter, what do you think of this? That's Peter, perpetually pickled. I'll have a talk with him. Good. Evelyn seemed close to tears. Aren't you glad you and I don't have these kinds of quarrels? Monica didn't say anything. We kept walking. You know, Evelyn hasn't been the same since what happened to her at Holstar Post last year. You remember how she got fired for supporting Alfonso? Peter tried everything to get a job back, but it didn't work. Maybe he didn't try hard enough. I don't think anything would have worked. It was a sad day for freedom of the press and Sordon. But enough about the veterans. I also spoke to Janice on the phone. Oh, Janice. Right. You remember my friend from university? We were in the social literature class together. A few years younger than me, red hair, scar on her forehead. We had dinner with her and her husband once or twice. Neither the name nor the description rang a bell. Right, that Janice. Anyway, she's been working as executive assistant at Violet Pictures Film Studio. She recently became pregnant, and her boss asked her boss for paid maternity leave. And guess what? She was fired for it. And her husband provide for both of them while she raises the child? But why should she have to lose her job? Something's wrong with Miss Anton, and that's not all. They immediately replaced her with a younger, less experienced man, the son of an executive, no less. So she called the First Lady to ask for help? She called a friend, and she knows this is something I'm passionate about. As it happens, another friend works for television stations hiring secretaries, so I connect the two of them. Terrific. Problem solved, then. You still don't understand, do you? Women in this country still see as wives and mothers first, human beings second. They're harassed at work, underpaid, blocked from positions of power, and those are the lucky ones. The fact that there's still places in this country where little girls like Tiana are denied the right to an education. I'm sure the parents have their reasons. What kind of reasons, Anton? What could justify this? Tradition? These backwards ideals are slowing down Soren's transformation into a modern nation. These little girls and people like Janice need to have someone who can speak on their behalf, a role model, a successful woman. We had reached the pond at the end of the trail. A park bench overlooked the water. Monica gestured to it, and we sat down. Which brings me to my point. I know that the mayor of Annika, Curtin Less, will be delivering a speech at the annual opening of the Benfey Festival. My wish is to take his place and deliver the speech instead. Les was one of Sordon's most influential politicians. He had started his career in Benfey before rising to power in Annika. Benfey's current mayor personally invited him to make the opening speech. Replacing him with Monica would likely anger him. Not enough to cause a major incident, but enough that he might not support me in the assembly. I want to base a speech on women's rights in Sordon, on the oppression and discrimination we face every day on the basis of our sex alone. I want our voice heard, and this festival is the time to do it. I just need your blessings, my husband and the president of Sordon. Monica's eyes were blazing with fire I hadn't seen since we were students. She wanted this badly, but I had to be careful with my promises. Let's see, I know we're not supposed to let her do it. But let's see if the guide says which answer is better. Okay. So we're not going to let her speak at the festival. So let's try this one. Does it have to be at the festival? Why can't you make your speech another time? It has to be now. Thousands go to this festival and millions watch speeches at home. Sordon's women can't wait any longer. Oh, alright, well then we're just going to say absolutely not. Out of the question. I don't understand. After all I've done to support you, you can't support me on this? It's, let's see here. The guide says, side with the mayor, then promised to go forward with their campaign. So we'll do that one. It's not the right time. Sordon is facing too much political strife. We'll have to deal with women's rights later. What little trouble this caused in the short term is nothing compared to the lasting positive change, not just for women, but for all of Sordlin. I don't think so. Monica was silent for a while. When she finally spoke, there was a chill in her voice. If that's how you truly feel, so be it. We walked back home, neither of us looking at each other. Ooh, alright. Wow, we got a lot of stuff going here. But I'm about out of time for today, so I think we're going to call ahead and call it here. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all next time.